Hi, everyone. This is the Witness Underground Update 3. I just returned to Los Angeles from Panama. I had a quick stopover in Orlando for Podfest conference. That was amazing. And I wanted to announce something real quick at the head of this. We're having a March 1st release of Witness Underground, the feature documentary, on our Patreon. So it'll be behind a paywall on the Patreon, probably at a level of $5. I'm going to get into that and the update on where I'm at with the film and the Bad Associations podcast and the episode I just recorded today with Chev Clark, the host of that podcast. A new community aspect of our Patreon, which is something I'm about to launch here. If you already are a patron or were a patron, let's talk. I'll be reaching out if I don't hear from you. If you hear this, reach out. I have something I want to give to you, and I want to talk about this community building. Okay, so getting right into it. The last update was in Panama City. I had a sort of spontaneous trip that came up to go to Orlando, and that ended up being a really good idea and really fun, and I learned a lot, and I met a lot of really amazing people. Podfest had about 700 different podcasters from all different kinds of podcasts. It was really interesting. Business podcasts, and I met a guy who does one on the occult. There's a guy working on like a doc series about construction workers. He was super excited about it. Medical startups that they won't talk to anyone unless they're already like have $500,000 or $1 million in funding, like deep into the startup world, like a few years in. Did a lot of mental health podcasts. I learned a lot about how to, first of all, introduce a podcast. If you're trying to monetize, how to do that. And I think this project, Witness Underground, is unique in a lot of ways for a podcast because it has a film, it has a series, it has a blog, and it has the artist grant. All that's one thing. It's really rare for a podcast to make any money. There's ways to do it, but without sounding advertisement focused, which can just be really annoying. It needs to happen, I guess, if you're trying to monetize. But our product is the film. And everything about this podcast is always about getting people to watch that film, at least for this year, and have conversation and build community around that. And the podcast is just an extension of that project. And it's kind of the evolution of the whole project, to be honest, because it started as a series. That series led to crowdfunding a feature film based on how the series was made. It became its own animal. And out of that, I fell in love with podcasting to promote the film. So it's all one thing. And I love podcasting. I love the whole world of it and how it all works. And I love the conversations and the long format. And I love that you can go from an idea to talk to someone, message them on the internet somehow or through a community connection or because I've already met them somehow. Set a time, record it, and a week later you have the episode out in the world making a difference for that person, for me, and for whoever listens to it that cares about this topic. I want to keep on doing it, probably forever, because it's so much fun. I quit my job. I had a very well-paying job that I quit because this is so much more fun to me and I want to make it happen. I want to make it work. I'm putting everything in. I'm risking everything. I feel like it's my calling. It's my all my skills are being used to their best benefit. I love the format so much. One of the ways that a lot of these podcasts provide value, not just in finding stories and telling stories or providing a voice to people who don't have the ability to do this, is actually connecting with people through the project. And with the Patreon, there's been a lot of opportunities to do that. And I focused so much on just finishing the film, then putting the film in the film festival world, and then trying to get distribution. Like all my extra effort and energy after working a full-time job until recently has been to just really get to the finish line with the project, with the film. Because I think it'll make a big impact, or it has a potential to anyways, especially if people love it the way everyone who's seen it so far seems to love it. And one of those ways to build community is to have, through the Patreon, a monthly Zoom call or something like that. And then the people who have supported the project, to bring them on as guests, maybe once a month or something, like a special episode just for patrons, unless they want it public, of someone from within our community who support this project and you think it's valuable, then why not bring on the people who've supported it because you're the diehardest of diehard fans and supporters of this topic and what we're trying to do. So I want to launch that, and I think might as well just go for it. It's February. There's a lot going on for me, but I can fit in a Zoom meeting for anyone who's in the Patreon community. I'll put a blast out to everyone and anyone who's ever been in the Patreon community. I know there's been a turnover the last few years. I went pretty quiet for 2022 it was a crazy year for me. And I would love to tell you all about it in person. I don't need to bore anyone with the update about my last year, but it's been a wild ride. I want to provide value, more value than I have, and support, assist. I would like to learn more about all of you, build something that seems natural and of value. I will try to do it once a month. If you have been a patron in the past, please reach out to me. And at some point in the next month, I'm fully dedicated to this project. There's a lot I have to do, but one of those things I want to do is reach out to anyone who's ever actually opened their wallet for the project. It means a lot to the success of the project, even when I wasn't able to create anything, knowing that there are people that have opened their wallet for this thing to exist and to support me as a person, doing something that I find has deep value personally, and for a lot of people that I'm close to, that are close to me, and anyone who has this story. And I've met people from literally all over the planet where I have traveled. We run into each other randomly, share this connection that we grew up in this weird culture that's super hard to understand or talk about, and then we talk about it through another language from someone who grew up on a different continent, from a completely different culture. But this thing is shared, and it feels like this very special bond. So it's not just meaningful, just the people I know. It's meaningful to people I haven't even met yet. And I really want to like keep on sharing and building that thing and bring out the positive in it. I think it's kind of amazing. I have some things I want to send. So when I made the film festival run, I was so swamped with actual like paid work. I was doing a full-time startup job, and it was always on the go. I have a box of t-shirts in an attic of James Zimmerman's house. He's one of the guys in the film, his kid, Owen. And they packed up the stuff and put it in the attic. Yeah, 4 different colors. We did a mint one and a gray one with the Nuclear Gopher logo on front. And then the film festival, like tour, kind of like a tour shirt of all the festivals, 11 festivals you went to on the back. The green one's a V-neck and the gray ones are crew, but they're like the gray ones are like awesomest quality. I love those. And then the red and white ones that have a different design made by a good friend, Jenna Marco. It has the original film festival poster painting turned into a graphic art of basically Ryan on the guitar neck facing out. That shirt, and it also has the film festival laurels on the back. So we have all these shirts, and who better to get them than the people who have been helping make this project real and give me someone to talk to on the Patreon who care, and I've really appreciated it, even if this isn't a project that's close to you. I know some of you so personally. You've supported me just because you know me. I want to at least give you something. Even if you don't support the project anymore, I just totally value everything that you've done. And thank you for being there at any point. And there's some things I'm going to be changing with the Patreon. Right now, totally for simplicity's sake, and to just hope that if you're giving something, you're giving on the goodness of your heart, not because of... It's weird to like, you can set levels on Patreon, like $1 you get this, $3 you get that, $5 you get that, $10 you get more, and $20 you get more. And it keeps on going. It's like, there's just a lot more stuff that I had to do, and I just was swamped to be able to do the film editing and the film festival run and the podcast, and then also like create different sets of things for different groups of people. And we're not talking about a lot of different people. So I just like, whatever you put in, you get to have it all. Last year, we put season 2 out, 1 episode per month, and those are going to go public, 1 per month, while I put out new ones that are going to be private on the Patreon. Expect to see that. And expect to see, actually, the big announcement of this update actually is that while I'm working on the mastering of the audio, it's a whole thing I'll tell you about in a minute. While I'm doing the audio mastering for the whole film, which I'm like halfway done, maybe a little bit more than halfway. I spent this whole week just like sitting in a chair, endless hours, blasting music and archival audio and dialogue audio, and just like tweaking it with parametric EQs and dialing it in. And I'm getting really close. And then I can hand it over to a guy I have to pay a lot of money to do the upmix from stereo to 5.1, and then set everything to broadcast standard limits so that it will play very well on TV, on any smart TV, on any streaming service, and it will be at these like global, this post-production deliverable audio quality, which I'm sure I can do that myself, but I don't know exactly what it takes. And this guy is highly recommended by our executive producer. Okay, for the record, I have funded all of this myself. He has given me a lot of advice, though. So I'm going to be adding my name to the executive producer credit list at the top. But Eric M. Klein is a wonderful human being who's given me a lot of advice, and I trust him and his network of people here in Los Angeles in the industry. And this guy comes highly recommended by him. So I'm working with him. His name's Eric Jolly, and he has given me a sample of the audio. It sounds just how I like it in the mix in terms of how I had set out all the levels and how everyone's always said it sounded really professional. I did that. It was a lot of work. I spent like 3 months of my life slaving away to make the audio perfect. And now I've done a lot more projects since then, and I've learned a few more tricks, and I think that the dialogue sounds atrocious, and not natural, and some people sound really bassy and some sound really thin and some have a lot of room echo. There's some things can't be perfectly dialed in, but for the most part I can increase the quality to a level that I'm pretty happy with. And I did a sample and it came back sounding much better with Eric. He did one sample, 5-minute sample from the intro, and then I did another one where I did the parametric EQ and all the dialogue, and it sounds way nicer. It's so obviously so much better. No one ever commented once that the audio didn't sound professional. In fact, the opposite was true. Quite a few people commented that it sounded great, and I'm picky. So I'm making it perfect this week, and that's my last thing I'm doing. I got a really cool thing. Someone that reached out during the film editing and film festival run, he had some thoughts on the film just as we were launching our first run on the festival. So I did a couple edits with him. It was like late 2020. Klaas de Loos from Belgium reached out to me. And he's a musician. So actually, wow, we really need to have him on the podcast. His band's great, super high quality. He was doing indie music in the religion and made music videos, and it was super cool. And that now he's out. He was actually really close to the people that are the activists who took the Jehovah's Witnesses to criminal court, to the Supreme Court of Belgium, and they found in the Supreme Court of Belgium the Jehovah's Witnesses guilty of hate crimes, and they're appealing to the Supreme Court of the European Union because of this crew of people. So I'm very proud of them. I'm really happy he reached out, and he provided his graphics design skills. He's an incredible artist, music and graphics. I reached out to him a couple weeks ago because, back then we tried to make this new logo graphic for my business logo, Banana Island Films. We filmed, well, you'll see it. I want it to be a surprise. We did this film mixed with the graphics, and he did some work on it to make it really more fun. And then I also pulled in to make that new, it's like really badass and funny. And it just makes the intro like pop in a way that I'm really excited about. And it's very DIY and funny. But anyway, I put some music to it that also Eric from the film, way before I ever even conceived of this entire project, Eric Elvendahl is a musician and friend from inside the religion that I knew and partied with and did a lot with. When I was living in Vietnam, we needed some music for this creative project in 2014. I reached out to him and Cindy Elvendahl, and they made our soundtrack overnight for a short film we needed finished overnight. And it was amazing. And that director that I was working with on that film, Vincent Beaumont from Paris, he's been using Eric and Cindy for music ever since, for small projects and corporate projects and documentary stuff. And me too. And my very first thing I commissioned Eric to do was this song for a short pilot we made in Colorado called Environmentalism, where a couple guys who are super into metal and anarchy, we basically teach you how to do sustainable practices in your own home. And the first episode is about composting. And the idea was 1-minute tutorials where you say one sentence and then you show it visually in a really fun way set to metal. And it was really fun. And so that episode's been on YouTube forever, but we only ever made the pilot and then, of course, never even tried to get it made into something. Like, how do you pitch a series to someone? We don't know. We just put it on YouTube and hoped for the best. And we didn't know what we were doing. We just made something really fun and moved on with our lives. But I had this song because I was insistent that the songs had to be independent and licensed or owned by me. So I wanted to commission an artist. I paid Eric, and he made this song. It took him way longer than he thought, and that it's just very metal, and it's really cool. And I cut it in a way for the intro of the movie. And I'm really excited to put it out because I'm so stoked on this intro and using that song. That was a new song for the film. Eric shreds, and Eric's I don't know what his first instrument was, but he's an incredible drummer. And so this just has the most metal, double kick drums and this shredding guitar. It's just so fun, and it's such a powerful intro. And it's also cool to have it in the film because it's the very first thing. I never even thought about doing a project about this religion, but I was already working with these artists I made the whole film about because this kind of relationships just started happening naturally, where I was hitting up old friends. I was like, hey, can you do this? And they're like, yeah. And then they did it. And then the next time I'm like, hey, can you do this? I have a budget. Yeah. And then I have a bigger budget. And I have a bigger budget. And we just kept on working together until I was like, hey, remember that time when we were all in a cult? Do you want to work on that together? Would that be interesting to you? And they're like, yeah, let's keep on making cool shit together. We've been doing this since we were 20. Anyway, so that's exciting to add that. And there was another bit of the film. Wow, it's becoming a very long update. Thank you for sticking around if you're still here. There's this artist who grew up in the religion, never got baptized, made amazing art. It's has a vibe of Bon Iver. And he's also from that region, northern Great Lakes area, Minnesota. Bon Iver is from Wisconsin, but either way, same idea. And he makes this very just cabin in the woods, soulful, beautiful songs. And his name's Derek Helland. And I really wanted to use 2 of Derek's songs in the film. And I did, edited them in, only to find out after the film was finished that he's no longer with us. And all the legalities, we realized like we can't actually use his music in the film, even though he would be so stoked about it, according to his friends. We can't get his rights or his like legal rights to use his music. So we had to replace the song. So Ryan wrote a new song, I think it was just last summer. And I've just been needing to cut it into the film, and I have not been in California where the film and PC with the film on it exists, or in an apartment. I've been traveling a lot, accomplishing other important things in my life. I didn't have time to do that. I didn't want to just do one thing. I need to do a lot of things. So this is one of those things that was on the back burner on the long list of things to do, which is replace those 2 songs with Ryan's new song. And what's so cool is they gave me the stems. Normally you commission a song, you might just get an MP3 or a WAV file with this perfect song. But in this case, I got the guitar track, the vocal track, the piano track, the finger snapping track. And I was able to like almost assemble a second completely different song the way I wanted to make more and impactful, because like the lyrics in this just happened to be really cool and powerful and fit the moment so well in this one part of the movie, where I can use 3 lines of the dialogue in the movie to make an impact. And I had to cut, I didn't want to lengthen the film, so I just like cut there's this one scene that like the color was bad, the sound was bad, and the dialogue wasn't that important. Basically, Ryan's like, this is the temporary space. That line actually is in the film, but he says like, I'm waiting for the move of all this equipment into the other space. And we don't know what he means by the other space yet. So like, I just cut this whole thing out, and he's like, here's my space. And so I get a cool new song with great, powerful lyrics following a very powerful moment from Cindy about her exit experience and like her kind of realizing she needs to get out of the cult. Then we're back into the music world, and Ryan sort of digs into his past in his like huge room filled with collections of really interesting instruments and guitars and memorabilia of the music scene, and he gets into some super weird, bizarro religious stuff from the Jehovah's Witnesses. Anyway, it's just like a better scene now, and I'm really happy about that song kind of improving that scene. The way that just the fact that the way he gave me the song and like how I was able to tie these pieces together and like improve this moment. Anyway, that kind of stuff. It's one of those things like at this point, I'm 2 years since the film was finished. Any amount of changes to the film since then would just be changes, not improvements. But this actually feels like an improvement. That in the intro with the new logo and the new music, it's just like, oh, this is actually like an enhancement. And also, of course, like bringing the audio quality up. It's like it's all like this is worth it. And then I'm never going to work on it again. Oh, another cool thing is while I was digging through, I needed to, first of all, get all the original interviews resynced up, be able to edit some pieces from them, pull some audio bits. And I was doing the parametric EQ, so I needed like all the mics. My big plan was this year with the launch of the film was to also have the raw interviews of the 5 people in the movie, their full raw interview on Patreon for you to listen to. Because when you're making a movie, something I didn't really think about since it's my first real storytelling project, and it's a big one and a powerful one. And I did really long, exhaustive interviews with each person to make sure I had enough content to really tell the story. And after that interview, then I did this other secondary interview about the music scene because I knew that there would be real value there, and it turned out to be an amazing choice because we use all of those bits, but we left out a lot of the coming out stories of each person. Like each person has about 15 minutes a person, something like that. Well, each interview is like 2 or 3 hours. And Ryan's, I think, was like 4 or 5 hours. Like there's a lot of storytelling. And I think once you've seen the film, you're going to want to know more from all of these people, and it'll all be available on Patreon. Let's plan for a couple months from now. It needs a bit of time to really dive in to cut those up a little bit. I won't cut so much, but just to make them a little nicer. There's some dead time to cut out. That's coming out. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about is that's what I've been doing in LA. So I'm back here just for that. The computer, I needed to like enhance it, get it ready, make it fast enough to edit. It was all just still here. I didn't travel with my movie. Today, the really cool thing was I was on the Bad Association podcast. Badass, all caps on the ass association. Badass associations. It's on all the places you can listen to a podcast. The woman who runs it, Chev Clark, she does very character-driven interviews. She's a great, open-minded, great conversationalist. Each episode's the name of the person, so if you look it up, the episode's Scott. She might put my last name because I allowed that, but most of her episodes have just been first name. And she just dives in. We got on the call, and it was just immediate dive into just heavy and instant. I don't know. It was just like so easy to talk to her. 20 minutes in, we're like, I mean, this is a podcast. We should introduce each other or say hi or something light. Well, we just went straight into it, but no, it was really great. And it was instant respect. Her activism is really powerful. We got into child sexual abuse, women's rights, human sacrifice when it comes to the ban on blood in that religion. Shunning, those three being like the pinnacles of what could take this religion down. They're just, I agree with her. And the mental health issues within the religion, emotional abuse and social control as being their methods of just keeping people dominated and controlling them, enslaving them. One of her big goals in the show is to give examples of real people who've created a life that they want after leaving, a path to success. And I think she's doing a great job. I've listened to everything she's created so far. I think there's like 8 or 10 episodes. Awesome podcast. Check out Bad Association's podcast. It's the new one I'll be always checking in on. I think she does a great job. That is the whole thing. This is the longest update I've done so far. I apologize for that. I'm trying to keep them short, but it's a little bit, I was a little delayed. I should have done one in Orlando actually, but I was having such a good time there and I was just swamped with fun, interesting things to do and great people to talk to. I didn't really want to miss anything. And when I got back to LA, it was just like, I should have done one right when I got back because I was kind of in a weird limbo state for a week. But anyway, here we are mid-February. I'm deep into the final film audio mastering, and that's very exciting because it will go up on Film Hub soon, and then I will push it to the world. All the posters are ready. The new key art is done. It's like from Giovanna Gonzalez. She did the new key art. It looks amazing. I'm so excited. The film is like so close to just pushing the button, like go. But because I'm a little late, I really need to do this. I needed to have done all this stuff in December, and the holidays were crazy. So here we are, and the film will probably not be out on the streaming platforms before the memorial like I want. I will see what happens. I have no control over when I finally launch the film, how long it takes for it to show up somewhere. As soon as I find out, I will tell everyone in the world and do like some marketing about it. But that's where I'm at. That's where the film's at. I think late next week, I'll probably get the film back from Eric Jolly with the 5.1 upmix, and then it's ready to go. There's a bunch of legal stuff I have to do, business stuff I have to do. I just need to get this technical hump over this hump, and then that stuff comes after. But thank you for checking in. Let me know what you think of these updates. I don't know if they're of any value to you. They definitely make me feel good. I hope that somebody gets something out of them. Please give me some feedback on those. Thanks. Bye.